Alright, today I'm going to be doing a valve adjustment on a 2005 Polaris Magnum 330. And we've got the motor pulled out. You do not have to remove the motor to do a valve adjustment. We just have the motor out for other reasons and was going to show you that valve adjustment. So first thing you're going to want to do is find top dead center. And we've got your recoil pull starter here. On top of your recoil pull starter is a 14mm cap. And you go ahead and remove that cap. And inside, if you have a small light, you will see an arrow, kind of a pointed knob on your actual cover. And then if you look very, very carefully down in there, you will see your flywheel, and you want to try to find the T on that flywheel. Now, if you are like any person out there, cannot find that T on the flywheel with just that inspection hole, what I like to do is take this cover off, and there's a handful of 8mm bolts all the way around this cover. We just put 2 of them on there just to kind of show you where it's at. I like to find top dead center, find the T on this flywheel, and then kind of line it up with the cover this way. Then you can grab your light and find top dead center a little more accurately. If your T is right here, and it will take you a long time to pull that over, looking very, very carefully, and I think that you will probably miss top dead center when you do that. So try to find where it's at on your case here, and then put the cover on just to make sure that you're in the right position so that you're on top dead center. Compression, you got to be on the compression stroke when you do that. So at that time you can put the cover back on. What I would do is just put a couple bolts in there just to hold it into place so you can see. You can keep an eye on that mark. Just take your light then, keep looking kind of down in there periodically to make sure that you're on top dead center. Now the next thing you do, take a 22mm wrench and loosen up the intake on this side. Exhaust is on what you really can't see there, the bottom side here, and pull this cover off here. This is how you do the valve adjustment on this model. Now you grab a 10mm wrench and a flat screwdriver, and you can adjust your valves. The first thing that you want to do before you loosen up your lock nut here is check it. So valve specs on this model is .006, that's inches. So you stick your feeler gauge in there. If it's too loose, you'll be able to put it in there way too easily. You can kind of feel it, no snug fit at all. If it's too tight, you won't be able to get your feeler gauge in there. If it's too tight, just want to double check that you're on top dead center compression and not top dead center the other stroke, because you will not adjust your valves correctly if you're on any other stroke than top dead center compression. So stick your feeler gauge in there. Now it's too loose, there's not enough drag on there, so what I'm going to do is take my 10mm wrench, loosen up the lock nut on it, and put my feeler gauge back in there. What I'm going to do now is take a flat screwdriver, tighten this down onto my feeler gauge. Now you don't want it so tight that you can't get your feeler gauge back in there. You just want a little bit of snugness on there. So what I do then is leave my feeler gauges in there, take my 10mm wrench, tighten it back up, and then I like to take my feeler gauge then, make sure that it's not too tight. There, it's a little bit too tight, so you loosen it up. And sometimes putting your flat screwdriver on there to make sure it doesn't move is the best way of doing it. So now take my flat screwdriver and make sure my adjusting screw doesn't move there, and then tighten down that lock nut. Now you can see there I've got a little bit of drag, and that is exactly where we need to be. 0.006 inches on the intake, 0.006 inches on the exhaust. So we're going to go to the exhaust side, do the exact same thing. Keep an eye periodically. You want to check that top dead center mark to make sure you're still in the right position there. So once that's done, grab your cap, put it back on there. Be careful, these are plastic caps and they strip very, very easily, so get it on there. Make sure the O-ring is good inside there, and these don't have to be extremely tight, as that O-ring will kind of seal that without any issues. Grab that cap, make sure you've got a good crush washer on here to seal that up nicely. You don't want any debris down in that area, and go ahead and put that back on and tighten that up. Again, that's a 14mm. So then if you've removed those 8mm screws all the way around there, make sure you tighten those back up. Make sure that's sealed. There's a kind of a gasket. Liquid gasket is what we have on there now. I don't remember from the factory if they have an actual gasket or not. but you want to make sure that that's sealed very, very good. So once you're finished with that, what I like to do is just take my recoil pull starter, then spin it over a couple times. If this is the first couple times I've adjusted valves, just want to make sure that you're on the right stroke. If you go and jerk on it the first time or try to hit your starter button and weren't on the right stroke, you could potentially bend a valve pretty easily. So if it is my first time, I just pull this over slowly. If the valves seem to hit piston or something, at least you'll be going slow. You can make those adjustments before you go and start your four-wheeler. So that is valve adjustment on a Polaris Magnum 330 four-wheeler. If you have questions or comments, please leave those below. If you like this video or think it's helpful for somebody else, please share it. Subscribe. Let me know what you want for more videos later on. Thanks for watching.